We have some breaking developments now in the mysterious disappearance of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. U.S. intelligence intercepts show Saudi officials had discussed a plan to lure Khashoggi back to Saudi Arabia and detain him. CNN's Nick Robertson is live in Istanbul with the latest news. Nick, these intercepts sound damning.
They sound damning, and it seems to be emboldening President Erdogan here, who has spoken strongly publicly about this for the first time. He has said that he cannot remain silent, that this happened in Turkey, that this wasn't a normal situation. He seems to be emboldened because President Trump is beginning to speak out a little on this issue. But the investigators here are not having an easy time. They're trying to piece together the movements of what they consider the hit squad was that traveled from Saudi here to Istanbul to meet with Jamal Khashoggi.
4 fateful steps and he is gone. The last moments Jamal Khashoggi was seen alive in public, entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, October 2nd.
That was at 1:14 p.m. on Tuesday. What happened over the next hour and 3/4 remains at the center of this mystery, core to the investigation. At a little after 3 p.m., several consular vehicles were seen leaving the consulate. The question now, was Khashoggi in one of those vehicles? And if so, was he alive?
The vehicles pull away just after 3 in the afternoon, arriving minutes later at the Consul General's house nearby. The dark-windowed van disappears from view into the compound. These tantalizing CCTV recordings leaked to Turkish media have Turkish investigators scratching their heads. How could Khashoggi just disappear? Their investigations are being hampered. Saudi officials had promised access to the consulate hidden behind a high razor wire top wall. But now Turkish officials say the Saudis are not cooperating. Piling on the pressure, a Turkish pro-government national newspaper has published names and pictures of 15 Saudi men who Turkish officials confirmed to CNN are persons of interest in Khashoggi's disappearance. A Saudi source familiar with 4 of the men confirms to CNN one of them is a former diplomat in London and an intelligence officer. Another is a forensics expert. CNN has pieced together a timeline for how at least some of these men got to Istanbul. Some left Riyadh at 11:30 p.m. Monday on a private jet, landing in Istanbul around 3:30 a.m., hours before Khashoggi disappears. Leaked CCTV recordings show the plane arriving at Ataturk Airport at 3:28 a.m. Minutes later, 9 men from the aircraft are picked up on cameras going through passport control. They head to a city hotel.
At around 5 a.m. that morning, they check into this hotel just around the corner from the consulate. About 4.5 hours later, they all leave, divided into small groups.
Investigators believe they went to the consulate to wait for Khashoggi. CNN has also tracked a second charter jet arriving from Riyadh at a critical moment that day. It lands in Istanbul around 4 p.m. and leaves just 1 hour later, stopping in Cairo en route back to Saudi. Why is this important? Turkish officials say the other plane that left later in the evening with Saudis on it was checked, their bags x-rayed. But we don't know whether the first Saudi plane to leave Istanbul was checked. And it left about 2 hours after that van swept into the consul's residence. As it flew to Saudi, Khashoggi's fiancée was pacing up and down outside the consulate, more and more anxious. More than a week after Jamal Khashoggi entered this building to finalize his marriage papers, the mystery of what happened to him continues to deepen.
Nick, this is all very, very ominous. The way you have mapped it out there, it just sends a shiver down your spine. And, you know, listen, President Trump, about his reaction, he's had ample opportunity to strongly condemn this or to demand answers from the Saudis, but he has thus far been reluctant to do so. So how is that going over there?
It's really led to, not having a strong push from the Turkish government. Although they've leaked all these videos to the media to sort of shape their story, we're not seeing Turkish officials get out in front of this and begin to point fingers. I mean, what we're being told by Turkish sources is that they think Khashoggi was tricked into going into the consulate and was murdered soon after getting in there. They just don't know how they disappeared his body out of the consulate. So to not have Turkish officials coming out publicly and strongly saying that is an indication that, they're concerned about dealing with Saudi Arabia by themselves. But President Trump weighing in on this, that will strengthen their resolve. There's so many things at stake over this here right now.
Understood, Nick. And by the way, this bipartisan group of U.S. senators are calling on the president to be more aggressive about this. So we'll see what happens today. Thank you very much, Nick Robertson.